Page 26, questions 171 through 177. Question 171. What is most accurate about fire alarm books? Must be kept in the fire alarm panel. The fire alarm books must be kept in the fire alarm panel. Question 172. What is the volume of a box 12-inch by 12-inch by 12-inch measure? 1 cubic foot. A 12 by 12 by 12-inch box has a volume of 1 cubic foot. Question 173. A condenser pump is supplied with 85-degree water from a cooling tower and returns to the tower at 88 degrees. The engineer is sure the condenser tubes are clean and free of obstructions. The condenser has high condenser pressure. The reason for this could be overcharge of refrigerant. If the condenser pump is returning water at an elevated temperature, has high condenser pressure, and the engineer is sure the condenser tubes are clean and free of obstructions, the cause could be an overcharge of refrigerant. Question 174. Fireproof decorations in buildings are useful for don't catch fire in an emergency. Fireproof decorations are useful in buildings as they do not catch fire in an emergency situation. Question 175. What is the lowest temperature a cooling tower can be? Wet bulb temperature. The lowest temperature a cooling tower can be is the wet bulb temperature. Question 176. Manifold hoses should be equipped with low-loss fittings. Manifold hoses should be equipped with low-loss fittings. Question 177. Water regulating valves are used to maintain condenser pressure to a predetermined level. Water regulating valves are used to maintain condenser pressure to a predetermined level. Page 27, questions 178 through 184. Question 178. What type of sprinkler system needs inspecting? Automatic. Automatic sprinkler systems are the type that needs inspecting. Question 179. You are performing hot works near a sprinkler head. What can you do to prevent the fire alarm from going off? Put a non-combustible barrier to protect the sprinkler head. If you are performing hot works near a sprinkler head, you can prevent the fire alarm from going off by putting the non-combustible barrier to protect the sprinkler head. Question 180. How long does it take to warm up a steam turbine? 10 to 15 minutes. A steam turbine takes about 10 to 15 minutes to warm up. Question 181. Why is a pressure relief valve better than a fusible plug? Minimizes refrigerant loss. A pressure relief valve is better than a fusible plug for minimizing refrigerant loss. Question 182. What is the state of refrigerant entering the compressor on a reciprocating machine? Superheated vapor. Refrigerant enters the compressor on a reciprocating machine as superheated vapor. Question 183. In the absence of water chemical treatment of a cooling tower, drain the tower every 1 to 2 weeks and replace with fresh water. If there is no water chemical treatment for the cooling tower, you can instead drain the tower every 1 to 2 weeks and replace with fresh water. Question 184. What is ammonia's refrigerant ASHRAE classification? B2. Ammonia has an ASHRAE refrigerant classification of B2, which is flammable and has higher toxicity than A class does. Page 28, questions 185 through 191. Question 185. What is the function of a safety herd on a compressor? Prevents liquid slugging from damaging the valve plate. The safety head on a compressor prevents liquid slugging from damaging the valve plate. Question 186. What does a wiring diagram display? Wiring of components. A wiring diagram displays wiring of components. Question 187. Filter dryers remove moisture and particles. Filter dryers remove moisture and particles. Question 188. Show a picture of an insulated pump and ask, what is this pump? Centrifugal chill water pump. Question 188 is supposed to show a picture of an insulated pump and ask what type. In this case, it was a centrifugal chill water pump. Question 189. If 29.92-inch Hg is equal to 14.7 psia, then 26-inch Hg converts to what in psia? 12.77. 26-inch Hg converts to 12.77 psia. Question 190. When charging refrigerant on the low side of a reciprocating machine with manifold gauges, what is the position of the manifold? High side front-seated, low side back-seated. For a reciprocating machine with manifold gauges, the position of the manifold when charging refrigerant on the low side is high side front-seated, low side back-seated. Question 191. You are the engineer running a 2,000-ton steam-driven turbine centrifugal refrigeration system supplying chilled water to a college campus with multiple buildings. You are supplying 46-degree chilled water. The buildings are satisfied except one building. What action should tile engineer do? Put an additional chilled water pump online. Under the above conditions of a 2,000-ton steam-driven turbine centrifugal refrigeration system supplying chilled water to a multi-building college campus, if all buildings are satisfied with the supplied chilled water except one, the engineer would put an additional chilled water pump online. Page 29, questions 192 through 198. Question 192. The cooling medium for a cooling tower is air. The cooling medium for a cooling tower is air. Question 193. The charge in a TEV sensing bulb is similar to refrigerant in system. The charge in a TEV sensing bulb is similar to refrigerant in system. Question 194. When you are finished leak testing with R22 and nitrogen, the next step would be vent refrigerant and nitrogen to open air. When you finished leak testing with R22 and nitrogen, you would next vent refrigerant and nitrogen to open air. Question 195. What is the device used to measure the speed of a turbine? Tachometer. You measure the speed of a turbine with a tachometer. Question 196. The condenser pump is on the first floor and not running. The pressure gauge shows 55 psi. There is 15 feet for each floor. What floor is the cooling tower on? 8. The condenser pump is on the first floor and not running. Pressure gauge shows 55 psi. 15 feet for each floor. From this, you can determine that the cooling tower is on the 8th floor. Question 197. There is 7.48 gallons per cubic foot. How many gallons of water are in a pipe 8 feet in diameter and 10 feet long? 3,758 gallons. With 7.48 gallons per cubic foot, multiplied by the volume of the pipe, pi times the square radius times the length, you get 3.14 times 16 times 10 times 7.48, or about 3,758 gallons. Question 198. A technician has been asked to estimate the cost of operating a 5-horsepower motor. Because the plant is billed by energy consumed as kilowatt-hours, the technician will have to calculate the conversion. The equivalent in energy of a 5-horsepower motor operating for 9 hours in kilowatt-hours is closest to 33.6. A kilowatt-hour is slightly more than 0.735 times 1 horsepower. 5 horsepower times 9 hours times 0.735 to roughly convert to kilowatt-hours will give you about 33.075. 33.6 was the closest answer listed. Page 30. Questions 199 through 204. Question 199. A standpipe system will be out of service for 2 days. How long should there be a fire watch? The entire time the standpipe is out of service. If a standpipe will be out of service, there should be a fire watch for the entire time the standpipe is out of service. Question 200. A circuit breaker has a similar function as what? A fuse. A circuit breaker has a similar function as a fuse. Question 201. How do you start a centrifugal chiller? Start the chilled water pump, start condenser water pump, check coil, start cooling tower, start compressor. The correct steps, in order, for starting a centrifugal chiller would be: start the chilled water pump, start condenser water pump, check oil, start cooling tower, start compressor. Question 202. If a sprinkler system is offline for 2 days, how often do you need to inspect it until it is returned back to service? Continuously 24 hours a day until system is restored. If a sprinkler system is offline, it needs to be inspected continuously 24 hours a day until system is restored. Question 203. The only refrigerant temperature chart available to a refrigerant engineer lists the temperature in degrees Celsius. If the chart indicates a Celsius temperature of 5 degrees, the equivalent in Fahrenheit is 41 degrees. If the only available chart is in Celsius, convert by multiplying Celsius temperature by 9/5, then adding 32. In this case, 9/5 times 5 is 9, plus 32 is 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 204. In the picture below, what does the equipment detect? Refrigerant leaks. Question 204 includes an image of equipment that detects refrigerant leaks.